Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and welcome to the December 2021 Chalislime Monthly. It's January. Yeah, it's January. Whoops. Okay, so I know it is weird to be putting out the Chalislime Monthly video at this time, and that is for a couple of reasons. If you've been following the incessant run of the Chalislime Monthly and the never-ending disastrous issues that we keep having with it, this is the final Chalislime Monthly that we'll be using Challonge. But unfortunately, the reason it is the final Chalislime Monthly that we'll be using Challonge is because it failed disastrously. And as a result, we had to run this one asynchronously. But thankfully, we do have all of the top 4 competitors here, and we will be running their matches in order. So, I think that we will still have some sort of interesting thing to watch. It may not be the entire 7 or 8 round tournament, but we will at minimum have the best of the individuals who signed up for this one. And we had a lot of really cool decks represented in this particular Chalislime Monthly. This is the first one with, I think, Brothers of Legend legal. Whatever the Karibo set was. And as a result, we had a bunch of people jamming some really bad decks that were enabled by cards in that specifically. Let's head over to the slide real quick so that I can let the YouTubers know what we are looking at. This was the December 2021 Chalislime Monthly graph. 9% Sword Soul, 8% Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk, 7% Phantom Knight, 6% Eldritch, 4% Sky Striker, 3% Virtual World, 3% Dragon Link, 2% Drytron, and 2% Gren Maju. Unsurprisingly, Sword Soul has made it to the top 4. There are 2 copies in the top 4, and both of the pilots are playing the TENYI variant. But that's not all that's in the top 4. We've also got a Sky Striker player. Sky Striker, of course, getting a massive boost from some of the really, really powerful tools available in Burst of Destiny. Just the existence of DPE has been fantastic for this deck. And shockingly, we have a Dinosaur player as well. The Dinosaur player is not Don Juan. Don Juan petered out at top 8, where he lost to the Sky Striker player we're going to be watching for the first round. So we're going to be playing these matches in order, and we will just see what happens, I suppose. And just like that, the first match of the 2021 December CSM is underway. So, shockingly, not much depends on the die roll here, though it does appear that Sky Striker won it. Sky Striker has no problem going second, especially with the really powerful stuff that was given to them by Burst of Destiny. The ability to just fire off a Fusion Destiny and clean up an already established board is almost unmatched, but obviously if you win the die roll, you're going to attempt to go first and set up some form of interaction. Sky Striker actually a little weak on the play just because they can't go into Hayate, but who needs Hayate when you can just scum engage off the top of your deck? Wow, I can't believe that Rathu is playing against every single Sky Striker player that I've ever played in my entire life. Oh gosh. Let me see if I can get the chat looking just a little bit better here. There we go. All right, we'll fire off the engage. We will set 2, and we'll go for the Shizuku here. Not going for the Shizuku shuffle. That's kind of interesting, but telegraphs that at least we have enough interaction already. And yeah, this is just a really great point of interaction if you are Rathu. Infinite Impermanencing the Shizuku just sets them back so far. And this deck is so normally strong against hand traps that it's just nice to find a space to fire it. Pot of Desires coming down. Would be surprised if this didn't get ashed, but there's not much to ash in this deck, to be honest. It can chain block so effectively, and you draw so many cards over the course of your combo anyway between Chixiao and Moye that, yeah, it would be really shocking if there was an Ash Blossom and it wasn't fired against this. All right, so TENYI Sword Soul can be a little bricky at times. You can draw sort of the wrong half and none of your Sword Soul starters, but Vishuddha is a really sick open. Wow, that's a good one. So, Vishuddha is one of the 3 TENYI spirits that really makes this deck tick. Adhara. Oh, Masquerade, thank you for the 15. Vishuddha, Ashana, and Adhara are the 3 that kind of form the core of this backbone. Vishuddha is removal, and Adhara and Ashana are both extension, but oh my god, both of them are going to fall too. There can be only one. So firing that in response to the Vishuddha trigger here means that the Vishuddha isn't going to be able to get off the field. That said, it is Not the worst position to be in if you're the Sword Soul player. There can be only one, of course, screws you over because you have a lot of worms and you're mostly a mono-type deck. But if you can get this Vashetta off the field, which a Sky Striker player will conceivably have to do at some point in order to actually win the game, you can just fire the Vashetta in the graveyard in order to bounce the There Can Be Only One and combo off. Again, this is really what puts the TENYI version over other versions of the deck, is the ability to remove these really powerful one-ofs that would spell disaster for almost anyone else. Okay, well, here we go. Normal summoning an Ash Blossom is actually pretty sick here because now we can go into any two and then maybe go for the Vashetta. Oh my god, or we can fucking synchro summon. I didn't realize that that was the stat line. Wow. So this is fantastic. We can use Baroness de Fleur to pop the There Could Be Only One if we have something like a Moye in a hand or a long one. Or we can just sit on it. Like, There Can Be Only One does kind of hurt Sky Striker as well. Wow. And this is, someone was talking to me about this, but a lot of what determines, you know, sort of separates the good players from the great players in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is their ability to look at cards that have one use in a deck and use them for alternative things, right? Like, if you conceptualize, yeah, and going for the set card says, I don't care about There Can Be Only One. Are you kidding me? Ooh, Widow Anchor coming down, and just a terrible time for the Widow Anchor, too. I mean, yeah, take the negate. I still have a negate. I will pop again eventually. But using cards like TENYI Spirit Vashetta, which are used exclusively for extension and removal in Sword Soul as synchro material, I mean, the ability to conceive of cards as fulfilling more than one role and being able to swap between that conception at ease is really just what separates good players from great players a lot of the time. Stupid things like tribute summoning Nibiru, stupid things like using hand traps as the tuner necessary for really powerful synchro bosses. You know, these are things that a lot of people just don't think about. Ooh, wow. Rough one on the Area Zero. We've seen 2 Fusion Destinies off the Area Zero, which is exceptionally frustrating for a deck that really needs to see Fusion Destiny. Sky Striker, of course, is a very powerful strategy, but gets much better by virtue of having that card in rotation exactly. And what do you do here if you're the Sky Striker player, right? The There Can Be Only One has locked you out of a majority of your extra deck as well. All of the Sky Striker Ace Links are machines. So the best you can do is walk your Shizuku into the Baroness de Fleur and then trigger the effect of your Ray in Graveyard to then use the Ray to tag into, like, Hayate to maybe get a really powerful card in rotation, or Kagari to recycle that Engage, but none of that's possible under a Baroness de Fleur that has not yet used its negate, right? We're going to walk in for the Shizuku, and I think it honestly might be just to fiend the negate here. We're going for the Ray. Baron can activate in damage step. At minimum, this maybe telegraphs there's another Ray in hand, and we're trying to bait out the Baron activation. It says, I think probably we can wait for the Ray activation to actually accomplish something. And we are going there now. And, like, what do you do here if you're the Sky Striker player? Do you take the bait? Do you go for the Kagari? If you're the Sword Soul player, do you let this resolve, wait for them to go to the Kagari, negate the Kagari, that destroys the Kagari, and then the Ray can't trigger because it's already happened this turn? There's the Kagari. I imagine this will absolutely eat the Baron because the Engage is just such a high-value card, and getting the Sky Striker off-field is so good. Yeah, so we will go for the negate here. It'll negate and destroy the Kagari, and then, unfortunately, the Ray has already triggered this turn, so we will not be able to do that. I imagine we'll see a normal summon here. A Hornet Drones is functionally identical. The Hornet Drones token, despite being a drone, is in fact a warrior, so not that big of a deal. We can go from the warrior token into Shizuku and maybe get something going over the course of 2 turns. The negate now spent on the Baron. I imagine we might even see that sent to the graveyard in order to summon from grave as well. Woo! So now we're in a very strange position. If we can get a non-effect monster onto the field as the Sword Soul player, we absolutely win. We'll be able to bounce that There Can Be Only One and just combo all the way off. But if we can't, we now have a negateless Baroness de Fleur, which is only okay in the grand scheme of things. You can pop that There Can Be Only One using that card, but that unlocks your opponent's deck too. And it's just a question of how readily you want to do this. You know one of the cards in your opponent's hand, you don't know the other one. You probably have a lock that it's either an additional, like, monster or maybe a hand trap. And I guess the question is how realistic you think it is to play around all of that. All right, so thinking here, there's just so much to think about. The other thing is, yeah, it might not even be worth popping that there can be only one because, yeah, as expected, the hand might be clogged with traps. You know, it seems weird to say this about, I think, at this point, unquestionably the best deck in the format, TENYI Sword Soul, but the deck is kind of bricky. It does lose a lot to itself, and speaking of losing to itself, we are now going to try an Area 0 our own. There can be only one away. Ouch. Okay, well, at least we hit one. This is the second hit this game after that devastating whiff. Ghost Ogre in main. Such an interesting decision, by the way. It's so good against exactly TENYI, and those types of decisions might end up netting them the game. But now we're in a position where our deck is unlocked as the Sky Striker player. We have access to absolutely everything. We know our opponent has 3 spell traps, but what are those? Blackout, probably Infinite Impermanence. You know, we might as well try and do stuff like take the Baron to Fleur, which at present is, I believe, going to be added to our side of the field if this resolves, and unable to negate things because that negate is not once per turn, it's once while it's on the field. And yeah, there it goes. Okay, what happens from here? Well, we can go into Zeke and then go into Kagari in order to continue our plays. We can go to Battle Phase and just do 45, continue from there. Looks like we are going to go for the Kagari here. A big surprise, I think that'll be adding the Engage, and because we got to activate the Widow Anchor there, we'll now have 3 in the graveyard for that Engage activation. Oh, or we will have 0. Forbidden Chalice coming down on the Kagari, reducing its attack from 1900 to 1900. That's a really interesting little coincidence. We can go in for 49, main phase 2 goes Zeke, and then I guess go into the third Shizuku at end step. Realistically, do we think that's going to be enough? I guess we'll find out. Zeke comes down. Now, Zeke, of course, can banish face-up monsters, but we've got none of those. We're now in a weird position where, like, if the set card is, like, Blackout Infip, the Sky Striker player is massively favored. We've got 3 cards in hand. Some number of them are likely to be hand traps. All you have to do is interact with your opponent's 1 normal summon, which they can possibly get. And this is just sort of the unfortunate truth of Sword Soul decks, is they don't play super well off the top. You know, you have to draw pretty much exactly Taya after a successful go-off in order to have, like, a 1-card starter. Something like Ecclesia maybe could do it as well. But Moye requires you to have an additional card in hand. Longwan requires you to have an additional card in hand. Like, realistically, what do you think is going to happen? Hayate, of course, a pretty interesting hit here. You just want to get more spells in the graveyard in case stuff gets reset. Very strange that we've been able to go through this entire game and haven't yet gotten a multi-roll into rotation as well. Looks like we're going to be sending a... Ooh, wow. Eagle Booster is a very, very cool inclusion. I like this card a lot in this format. All right, so main phase 2, I imagine we're going to go to a Shizuku. We'll just see how many cards in hand we get to set this time. Going through Kaina as well. Oh, my word! Okay, we actually have a competent strategy here. So now we can go into Verte Anaconda and bait out an Infinite Impermanence, or say, you know, like deal with DPE. And Sword Soul is very much a deck that cannot. Oh, well, that explains the hand. Okay, Celestial in the grip, but absolutely fantastic to get it out. We are going to fire the DPE now. We'll target that back row. Whoa, Dragon Cycle of Celestial Illusions. Oh, my goodness. That could have very easily been a way to get back into the game, but now we have to rely on that singular back row against a Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer that is coming back right now. It's got to be, like, exactly Called by the Grave plus a TENYI, and that's a pretty tall order. Banished 3 Moye off of the Desires. Desires' greatest card in the world. And looks like that admission means that Striker may be making it to the top 2. That's the first game of this match. Oh, popping the Imperial Order would have been so clutch against this deck, but just a little bit too late. Oh, rough. And yup, that is going to happen. The TENYI Sword Soul player conceding and the Sky Striker player moving to a clean 1-0 in this best of 3. Wow, that's a game I did not expect them to clutch out, but they absolutely did. All right, you know what happens. It's time for predictions. Let's see what you all think is going to win. We're going to do 1 minute on this one, TENYI Sword Soul or Sky Striker. We're going to run an ad as well, and if you don't want to see these, you can always subscribe at twitch.tv/MBTYuGio. So unfortunately, post sideboarding, things get much worse for the TENYI Sword Soul player. You know, you probably do have some number of slots in your extra deck dedicated to winning this exact matchup, both on the play and on the draw, just because it's so everywhere. But if you're the TENYI Sword Soul player, what do you realistically have to board against Sky Striker? You know, maybe you're packing Anti-Spell Fragrance, maybe you're packing Imperial Order, but I can't really think of anything else that's even remotely good against this deck. You know, historically, one of the reasons Sky Striker was so powerful is it resists every sideboard tool that isn't exactly ASF Imperial Order. And the fact that it's not a really common matchup, and there aren't a lot of common matchups that just fold immediately to ASF, means it's very unlikely that there's a competent board plan for Rathu. So, post-board, we are going to see, I think, a very different game from the Sky Striker player, and a real struggle from Rat. All right, and wow, that's so interesting. The TENYI Sword Soul player saying, I need the 6th card. I know you can't do that much on your first turn, so just take it, buddy. And take it they will. You can expect some number of floodgates here. The Shizuku, of course, is going to fire here at the end. Do we have the Infinite Impermanence again? We do have the Ash. God, that's killer. All right. I mean, a Lightning Storm cleans this one up. Any series of TENYI clean this one up. Ooh, double Longwan is not what you want to see, but Longwan resolving at all is pretty good. So this is a point where there can be only one is absolutely killer. You get to summon the Longwan, and then you can't summon the token. I think. I have no idea how that works. You may want to wait till resolution for that. Now, what's interesting about specifically this deck is that it resists Widow Anchor because the effects activate and resolve sort of in the hand. But the other interesting thing is it's very easy to accidentally lock yourself. Oh, whoa! What a sick line. Oh, every time I see this line, I just lose my shit. Yazi is such an exceptionally powerful card. So it's really easy to lock yourself, as I was saying, because this token prevents you from doing anything but synchro summoning, I believe, while it's on the field. But Yazi is a synchro monster, so we're going to use Yazi to target this back row. Yazi can't be targeted by opponent's card effects, which means that pretty much everything in the Sky Striker deck is going to be absolutely useless. And then when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, which means even a strike would do nothing. Oh, and there is the Widow Anchor, for instance. You are able to summon a worm from your deck. An Ash Blossom coming down from the Sky Striker player, that's incredible. But unfortunately, we have used our normal summon here. So we're going to have to rely on whatever's in our hand, plus maybe like Adhara over the course of a couple of turns. Wow, and that's it? Well, I think you can make one pretty clear read based on this setup play. We'll wait for the Sky Striker player to play into it or not before revealing it. But that strikes me as an exceptionally greedy play. Into 2 back row, hoping your Yazi pops like a floodgate and that they don't have a response to the Yazi effect in graveyard. Seems like sort of a pipe dream on a board where you can already just go into Baron and contest your opponent's board anyway. Yeah, all right. Let's see the blackout. Sheesh, no blackout either. Oh, that's rough. We're going to be able to use Hayate to send the Engage to the graveyard, and then we are a hop, skip, and a Kagari away from cleaning this one up in an exceptionally quick 2-0. Whoa. All right, down comes Kagari. We'll trigger the effect of the Kagari targeting the Engage in the graveyard. Is this striker player who took down Don Juan going to take down the entire tournament? The Forbidden Chalice, increasing the attack on the Kagari by 200 this time at least. Says, fine, whatever, like, I'll just get the Engage next turn. It was only going to draw me a singular card anyway, so we're just trading 1 for 1, and I'm up 4 cards to you. If they have the Rose in hand already, we can go for the Kinda and do the play that we saw last time if we have the read that that isn't Infinite Impermanence. Even if it is, if we have one piece of interaction, there are very few 1-card starters in this deck anyway. You would have to draw exactly Taya, and while exactly Taya is very good here, it doesn't compete with a DPE. All right, there's the Kinda. Ah, okay, they were just flexing. I was ready. I was like, where's the Rose? Where's Rose? setting one card, and going to the end phase, we're going to trigger the Shizuku. And this is a position you never really want to be in Sword Soul. Yep, we did have the infinite impermanence, correct, to not make the Verite Anaconda if we had access to that play, but now we've got one card, has to be Taya. Your opponent has to not have a piece of interaction in their 3 cards they have up on you, and it looks like they did not. Okay, well, here it is. We can just link off for a Kagari, add the Engage back, and that should be the end of the game. Engage isn't going to be drawing an additional card, but realistically, adding a multi-roll to hand at this stage in the game is just the end of it. Sky Striker, of course, does also have access to a really powerful OTK line once your opponent gets under, like, 5,300, which they now are, just by virtue of having the Hauka Fibrax into Celine into Effect Veiler, which I believe we saw that our opponent is playing. All right, there's an Afterburners set. Says, I don't really care too much about this card. That's a perfect thing to sit in the graveyard and get my Engage a little bit more value. Oh, not even an infinite impermanence. God, drawing something like a Blackout at this time would just be so devastating. Could be Imperial Order. Imperial Order would maybe get you into the game. It gives you a free shot at Taya. Your opponent has to have exactly infinite impermanence and not like Widow Anchor, but we'll see. Oh, Peeps, you want to jump in here? Yeah, I'll get you for the next one. Chat saying you should have just played Yazi Beat. Yeah, normal summon Yazi and then go to the battle phase. Definitely the play. What's the other semis match? It's going to be TENYI Sword Soul versus Dinosaur. Going for Hornet Drones in main phase 2 says... Oh, wow. That was clever. They were thinking, okay, like, if you didn't infip the Kagari adding back the Engage, there's, like, no shot that it's a relevant card, right? It can't be infinite impermanence, but it is, and now you get to safely add a Widow Anchor, and because the sword or the Hornet Drones is in the graveyard, draw an additional card as well. Going for the Shizuku here, says, fine, I won't make DPE, but like now I have negation for your Taya. I struggle to think of a single card that would get them out of this. It would have to be like Desires into Taya plus Protection. It's a huge ask here. Thank God Widow Anchor isn't at 3, am I right? Oh, Vashutta is a good card. Vashutta is a very good card. So this is actually a very strange line. You can go Vashutta into Monk, then you can banish the Vashutta to bounce the Widow Anchor, then you can banish Adhara to extend, and all of that only works if your Vashutta doesn't get immediately taken by the Widow Anchor you saw your opponent add. So, you know, that's probably it. Well, this was a very fun game for TENYI Sword Soul, in which they never saw Moye, never saw Ecclesia, and never saw Taya. Never saw Blackout. Oh, man. I mean, I guess sometimes you get these hands, and honestly, like, Sky Striker is one of the most consistent decks in the history of time, so, like, it's not that big of a deal. But still frustrating for sure. Oh. Well, are we playing it? We are. There it is. And that will be the end of the game. Crystron Hauka Fibrax summoning an Effect Veiler from deck. Going Effect Veiler plus Hulk into Celine. Celener getting like 15 counters on it. We'll use the effect of Celine, targeting the Effect Veiler in the graveyard. Bring that bad boy back. And then that sucker has 3 link arrows. So Celine plus Effect Veiler equals access code GG. And in an exceptionally clean 2-0, it would appear that Sky Striker is your first finalist. Wow. Was not expecting that, I'm going to be honest with you. Well, hello, everybody. It is me, Joseph Rothschild, aka MBT, and it is time for the second semifinal round of the 2021 December Chalislime Monthly. I, for one, am really impressed already. The previous match between TENYI, Sword Soul, and Sky Striker was won by Sky Striker pretty definitively. I mean, they kind of put on a clinic. It was not close. That TENYI Sword Soul player is now out, and the Sky Striker player advances. The same Sky Striker player who knocked out Don Juan on Dinosaur, but thankfully, Dinosaur will be getting another chance at winning this event because our next match is between TENYI, Sword Soul, and the prehistoric pugilist himself. Not Don Juan, but his deck. And I am joined by, I hope I am saying this right. Is it PeepsYGO?
Yeah, that's me. PeepsYGO, sometimes called PoopsYGO.
I do call
my
you
wonderful
that.
content that I post in my Discord. But no, it is I, PeepsYGO. What's up, peeps? It's Peeps. I'm happy to be here at the Mech Knight Monthly.
Yeah.
Don't know if I can call it that this month, but yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to join and commentate the finals here.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy that you will, I guess, be able to lend your specific expertise to the Dino matchup. This is a deck that I'm actually shocked you haven't picked up because, you know, I mean, you fashion yourself as an individual with, like, you know, like, room temperature IQ. It seems right up your alley.
No, this deck is too hard for me.
Oh, I see.
I don't know all the combos that you can do with Scrap Raptor, and I refuse to learn them. Because I hate Miscellaneousaurus. I hate that card so much. I'm happy it's banned, at one, basically banned. And I hope Dino stays dead forever. But it is here, so, you know, gonna try not to have too much bias commentating this match.
Yeah, and for those who were wondering how Dinosaur got this far, well, it is the new ban list. I do not understand, so I imagine we'll be seeing some pretty interesting stuff from our Dino player. I'm certainly excited for it. More excited than I am to watch TENYI Sword Soul. You know, when this deck first came out, I was like, wow, look how cool these combos are. And, of course, now I'm just completely jaded about it. Oh, cool, you've shutted my piece of interaction? Sick, I guess you could just win now. All right, Fossil did coming down first and foremost. Looks like the Dinosaur player did win the die roll. That is huge. And your favorite card! It's your favorite card in the hand!
Oh, great! Of course.
The Dinosaur player just doing some quick mental math here. I mean, it's a very hard deck to play, as you alluded to. Three off the Pot of Prosperity probably telegraphs that they've already got a pretty dope grip. Let's see if we can find an Overraptor, I guess. Oh, another pot. Oh, baby in hand. Oh, Lost World. Perfect. All right, well, if we don't have the Lost World already, that is Overraptor, Lost World plus Miscellaneousaurus. I hear that that's like a decent open. Like maybe okay.
It is pretty much full combo, and it does lead to a lot of strings. Not only does it set up some pretty powerful boards, it can also out a lot of stuff, too, so.
The Dino player saying, droll me. Dino is also one of those decks, you know, the decks in the same class of things like a Fluandereeze, I guess it's called in the TCG, that are unbeatable, just unbelievably strong, literally cannot lose to anything, except for Drollin Lockbird. And unfortunately, that is a card that is legal, and for that reason... you don't see them as often as you should. The Miscellaneousaurus coming down before the normal summon. Oh, and oh, wow, just surprising. The Soul Eating Overraptor coming down will trigger the effect of Soul Eating Overraptor, Lost World in sequence, so that we can chain block a monster that can't even be affected by opponent's card effects anyway. So, you know. There's baby. So this is kind of a weird one, right? Like, TENYI kind of wants non-effect monsters on their side of the field. Is there any kind of interplay between the token and stuff? Oh, this is a really good Ash Blossom here on the Miscellaneousaurus. Now we need an extender or we're dead?
Yeah, that's one issue with Dino. And you think there would be some synergy with the token here. I haven't seen it before, mainly because I haven't seen this matchup played a lot. So maybe they figured something out that I have not, which, you know,
that's impossible, honestly.
Yeah.
Apparently they haven't. That's the end of their turn.
Right. Oh, man, that's
the more things change, the more they stay the same. All right, Pot of Desire is coming down for the TENYI Sword Soul player, and half the work is already done for them with the token on their side of the field. Now we just have to find a TENYI, and the entire thing is off the races.
Absolutely. And that Desires Resolves, which is huge, too, for the TENYI Sword Soul deck.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the last match, but there just aren't very many good Ash targets in Sword Soul, like Moye, Taya, sucks ass to Ash. Chi-Shao is almost impossible to ever resolve an Ash against because of the way the other TENYIs block it. The TENYI variants, or the other Sword Souls block it, the TENYI variants specifically play Vessel for the Dragon Cycle, which is a really fun Ash, but usually they don't need it.
The quick play spell is a pretty good Ash target, if I remember. Is that like Heavenly? I can't remember the
Yeah,
name of the card, but that's usually a good Ash target. But it's very, more to your point, it is very not impactful. So Desires is pretty much the best card to Ash all the time. But and if you don't have it for the Desires, then that's pretty rough. So
and
sending
generally,
Shooting here seems pretty good.
The fear with this deck specifically is that if you open Long One plus a Worm, it doesn't matter what you open to interact with your opponent. You know, they can just make a Baron and then do their combo. It does not look like we have that here, but we do have the Ashana, which we can special because we only control a token. Go to the Monk, and we have the Vishutta, we have the Ashana. I mean, this is full combo. We know we have the Adhara. Jeez Louise. Vessel for the Dragon Cycle is such a pushed card.
Very good. Very good. I'm very surprised that it took this much of, Worm support to see TENYI's really viable, but the way they mesh together with the Sword Soul deck is just so crazy. No wonder this deck is so good this format.
You really just needed one playable Worm archetype for the TENYIs to become the most broken stuff in existence. Like, anything that synergizes even remotely with the TENYI line of, like, Shaman and, getting the removal conditions of Vishutta, a card that people were playing on release as, like, a bad Pankratops. Not surprising that it has come this far. I guess a little surprising that it took this long, and also kind of surprising that no one played TENYI Pure in paper ever. I remember, like, during a Chalislime Monthly, someone like Lil Speed that could messing around with TENYI Pure and almost getting top 16 because it's like an unlosably good matchup versus Eldritch.
Right, because Vishuda being a card that outs all of your problems natively in the archetype
Right.
is so great. And having something like Sword Soul, like an additional engine, additional archetype to play, that really capitalizes on Vishuda's ability to just out your problem cards and then continue pushing all without a normal summon. Just amazing. No wonder this deck just is so good here.
I mean, and you can ask any common charity player how good Sasahara is as an end boss. It's pretty decent.
Oh my god, it's so annoying.
I'm
not going to get started here in this commentary, but that card is so annoying.
It's what I like about common charity is it's one of those formats where like you play it for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, under the meta of Yu-Gi-Oh are 400,000 exceptionally annoying cards.
Right.
All right, down comes the Chi-Xiao, and this is just another real fun interaction between the TENYI cards and the Sword Soul cards. Turns out that Vishutta's a 7. We saw it plus an Ash Blossom turn into a Baron last time. This time we are seeing it plus an Adhara turn into the Extender. So now we can get our Moye, haven't committed to the normal, and just pop off from here.
Frustrating. Every time I see Vishutta come down.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
This is a hand.
Wow. I knew once I saw the Desires Resolve, I was like, oh, so the Sword Soul player is going to be able to do everything here.
Yep. That token looking pretty feisty.
Yeah.
And adding the Ashana to hand so we could discard it for the long one. Like, we haven't even minused ourselves. We're at 4 cards in hand. We have a negation on board already. We're about to go for the second one. Last opportunity for Nibiru here.
Yep, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, wow. The game's just over now. They're saying, if you have Nibiru in main, you have Nibiru in main. I'm going for Changing.
And the Dino player says, welp, back to the Stone Age for Overraptor.
In fact. All right, going to battle here, and I believe this is lethal? God, I hate the long wand just simplifies math so much. Yeah, this is...
It's so frustrating. I am so upset that they gave long wand that effect.
The win in time effect?
Why? It didn't need that. Why?
It was already
the most random bullshit. It's so stupid.
Okay, listen, chat. Dinosaur could still pull it out. We're going to start the prediction here. 1 minute on this bad boy. Lock in your answers. So, like the Striker match, this does bode exceptionally well for the Dinosaur player. Like, I imagine that Aki does not have a competent board plan for Dino. I imagine that our Dino player does have a competent board plan for TENYI Sword Soul. The only difference is that the Dino player lost game 1, so they don't have a shot at going first. Or 2 shots at going first, rather.
That is bad for the Dino player, but, I wouldn't count Dino out here. The capacity that Dino has to put up some... Like, just the potential for Dino's end boards is really amazing, is what I want to get at here.
It's actually kind of 50-50 here. Okay, now it's 30... 366, but still higher than I would have expected.
Let's see. Got to figure out how we're starting off here. Dino's very hand dependent, so we got to figure what their 5-card hand is looking like to see what their end board looks like.
All right, they just typed man in chat. Do you think that's good or bad?
I'm gonna say bad. I'm gonna say bad.
Love this game. Love this
Oh.
game. Fire off prosperity. Oh yeah, come on. This is a 6 though. Oh, it's a 3. Oh my god, they already have it. Man, I love this game. Full combo in opener.
You know, honestly, that's the one time where I saw
3
that,
really good
love
ones.
this
I
game.
mean, 3 killers.
Not said sarcastically.
Ugh.
Oh,
Well,
the called by.
If they have the combo already, the called by is it's a little good. Oh, and it might be good right here.
Yep.
Well, this is kind of an interesting question, right? Like, if you don't have full combo, or if you have a version of the combo that isn't particularly resilient, do you just, like, let this resolve, set the called by, and be like, maybe I can negate, like, the Adhara or the Ashana or something? No, we're going for it.
Yep.
Oh, let's go, baby. One of, dude. All right, let's see the Ash Blossom. Let's see Troll Ash in the opener. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Baby in hand? Baby in hand?
Infip. Easiest baby of my life, baby. Look at them.
Oh
Nice game, idiot. Prosby Miscellaneousaurus.
That's what I'm saying. He said excuse me. They said love this game, and they do love this game. That was not sarcastic.
When I say love this game, it's because I've opened like Dasher, Celestial, and then like 3 Garnets. They say love this game. They're like, man, I love this game. It's so good.
Dino player saying thinking, and for good reason. They have a lot they can do here.
Yeah,
I've seen some pretty impressive Dino boards ending on stuff like DPE, plus different flavors of interaction that other decks really don't have disposal to right now. UCT just being able to set the cards is always something that has been pretty specific to Dino that other decks just don't have. A Book of Eclipse on legs. But we're gonna see what they do here.
Yeah, what we haven't seen this match, which I'm kind of weirded out about, is a Scrap Raptor. And I think the Dino community is kind of half and half on if Scrap Raptor is actually good or not while playing the Kaiju. Nice.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't really increase the ceiling to a super noticeable amount in terms of the game plan. So
I'm gonna banish a lightning.
Maybe not. One very interesting thing that, as you mentioned, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno does in this matchup is it locks you. So like all of the TENYIs require you to have a non-effect monster, and shockingly, what's not a non-effect monster is a face-down card. All of the Sword Soul tokens can only be used to synchro summon, and they lock you into synchroing while they're on the field. And what can't be put face down is the tokens that lock you. So it does have a lot of really good, cool interactions, like one of the very few ways to interact with Longwan, because it doesn't matter if it's on field. You get Prio back once they pass with the 2 material on their side of the field. So, interesting for sure. Making the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno dark, I guess, is a comedy joke.
Yeah, a haha funny play.
Oh yeah,
but not a super
deceptively
not a super
strong
board.
end board. If I'm being realistic, I think that this is honestly quite good.
It's definitely the thing that I'm worried about here is that it's definitely very interactable. Like there's only really 2 pieces of interaction that they've effectively put on the board, at least that we can see. So it just maybe there's stuff in the hand that could supplement this board, but if even if Aki, the Sword Soul player, has something like double Chalice or Imperm Chalice that can just interact with both of these things, that this could be easy to deal with, but it really depends on the Sword Soul player's hand.
And Imperm is just so absolutely good. I mean, it works in a way that like you can't even like UCT and then like pop the UCT to get value out of it because of how Imperm follows. It's very silly. All right,
starting with a TENYI line here.
Do you think you just like shotgun the Tyranno here and say, "Get that motherfucker face down"?
Gosh, before the normal summon.
Oh, wow. We're still before the normal. Yeah, this was the exact punish for it too, because you can DP the normal and lock them out of everything. unless they special Ecclesia. Now they have the potential to put like double normal. Going for Longwan. Oh my god, we're gonna see a really fun line here if we don't shotgun the ultimate conductor.
This one's actually a little past me. I don't know why the long one is the play here.
It's because we're in time.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
7.
Oh, TENYI works the opposite way as I was thinking. It's not if you control no face-up effect monsters, it's if you control no effect monsters. So face-down cards are not effect monsters. They can still TENYI from here, but...
Oh.
Yeah, wow, what a killer. And because we got to use the Ecclesia to start that, we now get to go for the Moye. Moye revealing Moye here. They go for the token. We have to DPE on resolution, just a question of which one we want to hit, the Moye or the token. The token at minimum. Oh my god, or actually we don't have to do shit.
No.
Actually, we do not have to do absolutely anything at all. Oh, wow, eat it. That's really painful.
Whoa,
that is the end of the game.
I have not seen that card honestly played in a Sword Soul matchup in so long.
Oh, that was
so funny to see that here.
I think you just let the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer die to Fusion Destiny and then trigger its effect. They just missed out on like 1,500 damage with the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. I hope that doesn't come back to bite them. Like, I hope they still have lethal from this position.
I mean, with a token collector sitting on the board.
It's functionally lethal anyway. I'm like walking through these scenarios. It's like, what if like the token collector's appendix bursts and it goes to the grave? There's like not a doctor around. Oh, never mind.
Ooh.
Well, sometimes you're just good at Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, we drew an Ash
Sometimes
Blossom
your
as
other
our sixth
opponent's
card.
just good at Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, I think you're completely fine with this. If you're the Dino player, it's like, oh god, I have to win with DPE, Conductor, Tyranno, Token Collector against Sword Soul. Token Collector into attack position, by the way. Come on.
Why? Why?
Oh, here's why. I figured it out.
Oh my god.
This one is looking a little over. Yep, so that's 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go another 1,000. And then that's 39.25. That's it. That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Gores. Well, I mean, you said Dino has all these weird hands that make really powerful stuff, and that was not a super impressive end board, but you know, contextually, it really was. Like, obviously, how is Sword Soul going to be Token Collector, let alone Token Collector plus Ultimate Conductor Tyranno plus DPE?
Plus a recurring DPE. Yeah. No, that was definitely really good. And I was really concerned for the Dino player for a second. Because like I said, you know, there are just a lot of options that the Sword Soul player could have that just completely outs that board. But holding back on the board you build a little bit because of a card that you have available to you, like Token Collector in the hand, you know, that really just solidifies the game there. You don't have to go all in when you have something that's so impactful against your matchup. And moving on to game 3 here, this is where Dino can potentially shine, right? We've seen Dino even a lot of players just focus on going second with the deck, and Sword Soul doesn't put up the most imposing board. It's not like one of those formats where it's all in, you set up 7 negates or whatever. Sword Soul tends to, you know, focus on the triangle effect of having some monster negates with boss monsters, and then like sword blackout, and then potentially hand traps here. So we got to see if Dino can eat through that sort of mid-rangey board that Sword Soul sets up.
And obviously, like, a significant number of those cards just suck fucking ass if Misk resolves. So,
right.
Don One is in chat right now saying, "I hope that Dino loses."
Oh no! Come on, Don.
It would be so funny if this top 4 started with 2 TENYI Sword Souls and finals was Dino versus Striker.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's just the Chalislime Monthly, though,
That is
right?
the Chalislime Monthly. The Chalislime Monthly, literally just pay attention to the top 16. Don't watch, or the top 8. Top 16 is going to have some bad stuff in it. Top 8 is all reasonable decks, and then the deck that wins is the silliest deck that makes it into top 8 every single time. I'm shocked Jeff Leonard lost, by the way. He made it into top 16, and I was like, he's going to win another one. I fucking...
What was he playing this time?
Numeron. He wasn't even playing mine.
Excuse
He
me?
was playing, yep, double.
All right, we'll chat about that later, but it looks like this is what's so strong about the TENYI line in this is that the Vishuda plus the Edhara is just, it makes the Sword Soul synchro, right? That's just
Stupid,
crazy.
dumb, idiotic. Like, the biggest issue with Sword Soul is there's only 3 Sword Souls, and now there's 4 Sword Souls. Speaking of, it's time for the Protoss. We haven't seen this one yet. How does Dino beat Protoss for Earth? Do you have an idea?
So this is actually an interesting thing that comes up a lot, is that still people will tend to elect to play Protoss and call Dark against the Dino matchup specifically for the Overraptor. And if you do that, obviously you're making yourself open to stuff like Pankratops or Archosaur. And then if you call Earth against the Dino deck, you're then making yourself open to Overraptor lines. So
you can like you don't necessarily have to cycle through the babies. You can just like set up for something like a Verte.
Right, exactly. So
what the? You are not playing this card.
Oh my!
I know that they're playing this card, but they're not making it on the first turn board. I didn't think. Wait, this is sick against Misk. Holy shit, this is incredible against Misk.
Oh wow.
Well,
I guess it depends. It depends on what the Dino player does, or what the Dino player has, I guess. Because if they sided into those really powerful going second blowouts, they call Dark.
They're calling Dark, and blowing up your own Draco Berserker seems a little sussy, but sure, maybe they know something we don't.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a way to talk about it. Well, now we could just do Miscellaneousaurus lines if we have... Is it special or normal? Special. So we can normal Overraptor here and just do a Misk line, right? It doesn't seem very good. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Well, you know.
Show me the call by.
Let's see it. Are you the greatest player in the history of time? Let's see it. Thank you.
I'm gonna banish a light in the dark.
Oh! Oh!
Oh!
Oh my god.
Man.
Oh, I love Yu-Gi-Oh, dude.
Holy cow.
So shockingly, this isn't like the worst thing in the world, right? Like if we just set up like a... Do we have a busted 8 in here that's not named Omega?
I mean, Omega's still pretty good. Hold on.
Yeah, like Omega contests the Chi-Xiao. We have no follow-up anywhere. The Protoss is like an asshole, but we could just do the line next turn if we're not dead. Or we could do it now, depending on how many cards we need to send. Like, if we're able to... Oh, Dark cuts us off DPE, but if we're able to get to, like, a... Yeah, an Archosaur here, even if we're not popping a baby, just getting the guy on board might be enough. And because we did the Gamma line, we don't even have to make the Dark-typed Link Haribo. It's weird for sure.
The thing is, you can't search Pill here.
Yeah,
right? Now that
you'd have to
the role
already
has
have
resolved.
it.
Right. That's what's scary. But if you do manage as the Dino player to stick the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, I don't know how you lose the game from there in this board state.
Yeah, no. I mean, even as is, if we just stop here, we can crash the Omega into the Chi-Xiao and just try it next turn, right? Conceivably, we have like an Overraptor, and we can do some part of the line. Protoss, fun card. Oh, we do. We do have the double evolution. All right, a question of if we have an Ash Blossom as well. No, we do not. That was a baby from hand that we banished, by the way. That's rough, but it is what it is.
I mean, I don't think it matters at this point. Conductor, as we saw in the last game, is just such a strong piece of interaction against
Wait,
against the sword.
Did we misk so we have a target for Conductor?
I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
Like, you do what you gotta do, I guess.
Oh, man. Wow, this card is really good against
Shut
this
up,
deck.
MBT. I think realistically what happened is we arched and then we were like, oh, that doesn't even work under Droll. You can't even attempt it. Okay, so Chi-Xiao here at least gets to negate the effects of the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which means it only gets the one attack, but correctly identifying we have to attack the Protoss. At minimum, we can walk into the Chi-Xiao with the Omega and then be like, all right, beat UCT on 2 cards. Good luck. It's kind of crusty because obviously you don't want to lose Omega. It's such an extremely powerful card, especially against a deck that really needs their hand. Just a question on the Dino player's side of if they actually want to crash it or not. Like, Chixiao doesn't extend any farther. He kind of gums up the board because now any Tenyis are offline. It's a hard call to make for sure.
Thinking, they say.
But at the same time, Chixiao also does contest the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Interesting. The pass here. All right, so unsurprisingly, we are going to take one card out of the hand. Just taking. Oh, it was Moye.
Oh,
the greatest player in the history of time.
Wow.
Oh, never mind. I'm fucking dumb. Archosaur dies at end phase because of Misk. All right, that was just a complete misplay in that case. Oh, unless they are really good at Yu-Gi-Oh.
A lot is depending on what this set card is.
Mm-hmm. Can we see the token collector as the 6th card? Adding Longwan. What the fuck? There's no way that's the play. Pitching a Shunna. Oh, that gets you really far. You know what would be really good here is Torrential Tribute.
Yeah, I know. What do we got? Let's see it.
I'm not even exactly sure what it would have to be. Okay, we're going for... Yeah, that'll chain the Chixiao. It has to be Imperm, I think. Ooh, that's rough. Chixiao resolving means that we are now going to get to pop off. We can, from here, go into a Barone. We can get TENYI lines online.
I think if the Dino player doesn't have any more interactions, it's probably the end of the game. I'm not sure what could be in these 2 unknown cards that solves this. But I think if my worry is that if one of these 2 cards would have solved this board state right now, it would have been used by now. So I'm kind of reading that these are bricks.
This is so frustrating. You know, if you're the Dino player, you're probably kicking yourself. Like, I had every avenue to win this game. But that, like, Misk into Archosaur play was so devastatingly rough.
Yeah.
You can guess the card in hand. I choose to guess that the card in hand is...
Dark Ruler?
Animadorned Archosaur is pill number 2. All right, looks like we're going for the TENYI line here. It says, no fear, Shakespeare. We're going to go ahead and bring out the Vashetta. We're going to see if we can't get that back row gone before we commit to a Barone. Oh, we don't even need to commit to Barone. We're just going for lethal now.
Yep.
12
Probably
here
the
with
right
the Vashetta out for the Monk. Decision of if you want to respect the back row or not. And it looks like we are.
And the Swordsman player does.
Okay. Now that the card's been banished, we can go ahead and fire off the Changing. We can pop that card, and that should be the end of the game, I believe. I haven't done the math, but woof. Yeah. Wow. Watching that Dino turn 2, I really thought they had it, and just the decision to leave the Chixiao, the decision to Miscellaneousaurus. It feels like it was a very winnable game. They just fumbled the ball on.
Yep, I think so too. I think had the Omega, you were putting a lot on the 33% of the Omega hitting, you know, the most playable card, and
Though
also
it did, you know.
It did, you know, and then the Emergence being top deck. I feel like the right decision would have been to go for the certainty of outing the Chixiao rather than some sort of die roll situation of hoping the Omega hits the playable card out of the opponent's hand. But, you know, decisions get made in tournaments, and the results of those decisions are what causes losers and winners.
We're back. Folks, we've had a long and hard road to get here. Longer and harder than the road usually is. Certainly for the last couple of Chalislime monthlies, we have not been without our problems, and this one was no different. Halfway through round 4, Challonge broke irreparably, and we had to move the tournament asynchronous. Huge shouts out to Rebby and Coder and Luna for managing that situation. We were eventually able to reconstruct the bracket by hand using some quick coding on Coder's part, and the remainder of the December 2021 Chalislime Monthly was played asynchronously. That means that unlike other Chalislime Monthlies, this has been going on for about a week, and we are finally at the final game. After a tough top 16, an unbelievable top 8, and an exceptionally good top 4, we've now arrived at our final match. Thankfully, TENYI Sword Soul is not going to be the mirror, but it will be represented. We have a TENYI Sword Soul player against a Sky Striker player. Aki/Depp, a CSM returner, playing against Crom, who I don't think we have seen before. Speaking of people we have not seen before, I have a new guest on commentary here today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. What's up, peeps? It's Peeps. It's PeepsYGO here. Here, happy to join and commentate this finals with some pretty good decks. It's happy, normally people kind of groan when they see meta in the finals yet again, especially in a tournament like this that has a lot of rogue representation. But I actually think this matchup is pretty interesting. Two decks that kind of fall into the more mid-range to control style. Obviously, Sword Soul is extremely explosive. And then Striker attempts to slow the game down a bit. So we'll see what happens here. I'm really excited to spectate it and commentate it. So happy to be here.
Me too, for sure. Both of these players, of course, are very good. We watched an absolute clinic in Sky Striker, in the Sky Striker players top 4, which was against this matchup. So if nothing else, they are no stranger to it. Let's just jump in. They are playing now. So this is a really fantastic match in which actually very little depends on the die roll. Sky Striker loves going second. Of course, the ability to make Hayate and get engaged guaranteed on your first turn is just fantastic. And as you were saying in the previous match, Sword Soul end boards aren't like the hardest thing in the world to clear. You're usually contending with like a target a monster on field and negate its effects, an Omni negate that can be used a grand total of 1 time, and maybe like an Icarus attack. And if there's any deck that doesn't care about any of that shit, it's Sky Striker.
Very true. And the interesting thing about Sky Striker here is that Sky Striker can be built in a lot of ways, and all of them, it can be built in a way where it decides to go first and set up their resource engine and have some hand traps, or even some floodgates. It can decide to go second and lean on those hand traps, or it can decide to go second and play with some very strong blowout tools that just happen to also be normal spells, which synergize with Sky Striker's game plan. So even if you know you're playing against Sky Striker, you really don't know what you're playing against, which makes it very hard to deal with. So depending on what the Sky Striker player has here, it might be able to navigate through this pretty telegraphed Sword Soul board quite easily.
So this is a fantastic open for the Sword Soul player. We've seen a lot of Sword Soul bricking in the top 4, but this is not that. Being able to start with the Sword Soul Emergence, and then grab yourself a Long Wand, discard an Ashana, and then follow it up with an Ecclesia, probably the best normal summon in the deck turn 1. Under Baroness de Fleur is just fantastic, especially against a deck like Sky Striker that a lot of the time relies on powerful hand traps to make this happen. Here comes the Infinite Impermanence, and this is actually a pretty critical point for the Sword Soul player. Like, do you want to burn the single Baron negate on this card right here so you can ensure, what, an on-field negate for later?
And it looks like the Sword Soul player said, yes, that is exactly what I want
Yeah,
to do.
totally. What are you, stupid? Taya, of course, going into it because we have already gone through a Sword Soul. So a better summon than Moye, arguably. From here, we could do a couple of things. We have the Ashana in Graveyard and a non-effect monster on our side of the field, and this is really where the synergies between this and the TENYI superstructure kind of come in. I originally was not sold on the TENYI build of the deck. I thought the pure version that was playing like Fusion Destiny was just too easy to play. If you're a bad player, you can get a lot of wins doing that. But now people have labbed the lines with the TENYIs enough that I think it's fair to say this has become the dominant build of the deck, and it's not very hard to see why. These lines are just so silly.
They're very good, and they synergize with the Sword Soul deck in a way that is, oh my gosh, that's strong.
Yeah, I hate
They
this.
synergize with the Sword Soul deck in a way that I would say would be frustrating, in the sense that Vashida plus the level 1 TENYI making your Sword Soul synchro, thereby making your deck even more consistent, is just very hard to deal with. It's very explosive, and it sets up your turn 3 pretty well. So
Yeah. So speaking of, what we're doing now is using the Graveyard effect of Adhara to add that Longwan back to hand for next turn, so we can do this stupid line again. And we've gotten our token off our side of the field made with the Taya in order to go into a Baxia, the Taya binning a Moye, so we can tag out into the Moye with the Baxia effect. The way that Yazi and Baxia specifically interact with this deck is just so absolutely strong. Like, these are cards that even today are clearly broken. And it's allowed us to go into not only, you know, Chi Shao searching Blackout, which is of course the like ideal end board for this deck, not only every single Sword Soul over the course of the turn, but one thing that Sword Soul historically has problems with, which is backup. We've got the long one in hand, we've got an additional card in hand because of the Moye, you know, we're sitting on 4. So even if the Sky Striker player is able to get a really powerful board going, they're going to have to contend with this again next turn, and now they're going to have to contend with 2 more cards as well. My god.
This Sword Soul deck feels like what happens when archetype cards just don't have any type or
Yeah.
like archetype restrictions on them, right? Like we've got the Tenyis in the main deck that
God,
synergize with like
we've got through
non-effect.
every power card. Come on.
Oh my gosh. We've got like the Tenyis, right? So the Tenyis act as their own engine that synergize with worms and non-effect monsters, which the Sword Soul cards put out, you know, putting the tokens, and then we've got the Yang Zing cards in the extra deck, and all of them just work well together because they all work with worms. So I don't know, maybe Konami, we should probably start looking into that for design choices moving forward.
And the Upstart Goblin coming down. So you can probably read its Blackout like in Imperm, and obviously that's devastating, but that is a beatable board. This is kind of the god hand for Sword Soul, because not only do they have the ability to like prevent a Sky Striker player from getting most of their monsters into rotation, like they would usually want to do. They also have the ability to kill them on the crackback with 100% certainty. The Long Wan activation twice over the course of 3 turns just makes that so incredibly easy. And oh boy, I guess we'll see what happens. But Afterburners is a good start. So this not only gets rid of the Chi Shao, it also means that if we can contest the Monk of the TENYI, we can turn off the Blackout. And you can do that without ever adding a second card to your side of the field. Blackout is one of those cards. It needs to be able to target 2 on your opponent's side of the field. So if we do something like this, go Hornet Drones into Hayate, we can walk into the Monk of the TENYI, turning off the Blackout without ever really interacting with it. And if they want to waste their Imperm on the Hayate, or they want to waste their Imperm on the Kagari, that's fine. We can Shizuku contest over the course of a couple of turns. At this point, the only thing you're scared of from the Sky Striker pilot is the next turn. You're scared of the TENYI turn 3, which is usually not fantastic, but in a hand that we know has Vishuddha plus Longwan, we know it's going to be a lot more powerful than usual.
Right, and this is what I was saying before with Sky Striker just having these different directions that it can go, and not only its play, but also its deck building. Oh, and electing to attack the Monk of the TENYI here, further contesting the Blackout, I think is the decision that they're going for here.
For sure. Do we dump Rose here in any world, or are we trying to fiend out? Yeah, the infip for the...
Yeah, we just get the engage.
The engage. All right, here's Kagari. We will target the engage, and this will not resolve. Yep, okay, and now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can go into Shizuku. Oh my god, or we're actually the greatest player in the history of time. Eagle Booster coming down here, adding the engage back, and I think that's actually the 3rd. It's the 4th. Oh my god, whoa. Oh, but the Ash Blossom!
Wow.
Oh god, they've gone through so much here.
What a high power turn for both players.
That was so cool.
I think it's hard to tell who's in a better position here, right? I'm tempted to say the Sword Soul player is in a better position, but that Baroness has used their negate.
The Sword Soul player is in an incredibly good position. You have to have a way to stop the long one, and we've seen from this. Whoa, yep, and here it is.
What?
They're like, okay, like this is not going to be sufficient. We have to go for Verte, and they are 100% right to do so. This Shizuku set 2, even if one of them is like, there can be only one or something like that, is immediately contested by the Vishuddha in hand, because if we go for the long one, we have the non-effect monster on field to fire the Vishuddha and contest the back row. So what we have to do now is get pretty much as much off the field as we can. There's really no scenario in which we're going to be able to get both the Baroness and the back row off if we're reading the back row as the Blackout, but we can potentially strand them with a long one on field, which prevents them from accessing any of the Tenyis at all. I think there's maybe an argument to go for the Baron here, just because if we don't, the Baron can convert into another Sword Soul Monster, which gets another token, which turns the TENYI line back on by using its standby phase effect. But of course, that depends on what's in the hand. If it's a negation tool, then it wouldn't really matter anyway. This is such a heads-up line from the Sky Striker player. Just an absolutely incredible one. And like the Sword Soul player's line that gave them backup for the next time, this gives the player here backup for their next turn as well in the form of Celestial.
Right. No matter what, your play always has to be, as a Sky Striker player, your decision with what to pop with the DPE has to help you survive this turn, because the way the Sky Striker player wins here, the pathway they have to follow is surviving this turn exactly. And ooh, that Vashuda in hand is going to make it really hard.
I'd imagine that's actually the end of the game. Really rough. You just don't have a good setup here. If you contest the back row, then they kill you. They can refuse to go into standby and kill you using the Baron pop. If you fail to contest the back row, they can lead with Vishuddha and then contest your Baron with the pop again. It's just like, there's not really a good out for this. Valor coming down is something, but too long one means that we're dead on board anyway.
Right. Yep, this right here is just the end of the game.
Wow, that was actually interesting. I wonder why we didn't Valor the Baron. Oh, it doesn't even matter. I think the Baron still contests the DP if we go to combat.
Right there is a pretty good example of that damage over time coming from a long wand, how important that is, and just how much that helps the Sword Soul deck really close out games, even though it probably didn't even need that effect. That's why that effect is so frustrating.
Yeah.
You're able to put so much damage on board already. Why do you have a tool that just allows you to get that chip in when your deck surely does not need it?
Yeah, I mean, if they had not taken 2400 from the long one, I think the Sky Striker player probably wins that. Like, Chang Ying does not contest Sky Striker in the way that it needs to. DPE returns the next turn, and even though Depp played fantastically and was able to get a bunch of resources back in hand of the turn after they went for the big combo, something that TENYI kind of struggles with, they only had turn 3. If it went to turn 5, they couldn't do it again.
Right.
All right, I imagine we'll see the Sky Striker player going first here.
For sure. They can't have that kind of setup put up against them again. They need to be able to establish their game plan and have enough interaction to stop Sword Soul in a proactive way rather than a reactive one. That is a good start too, but the decision on what they add is very important as usual. Widow Anchor is good for sure.
Widow Anchor is good, but unfortunately just interacts so poorly with TENYI. Like, long one opens are just free money for it. Oh wow, this is one of the strange opens in which we might be able to fire the Engage for 2 on our first turn. If we use the Kagari to add back the Engage and we have no other free activatable spell, we can Widow Anchor our own monster to draw an additional card if we value that additional card more. Looks like we do not, and we're just going to be going into Shizuku here. All right, Shizuku step 2.
I imagine what's frustrating for the Sky Striker player at this point is that they have not seen Ray at all.
Yeah, this has been a Rayless match so far. Oh man, that's killer. That's so fantastic. Oh, actually, it fucking sucks. Actually, it's not even remotely good. Oh, no, and here it comes. Yes, as expected, the sideboard cards against this strategy are just so absolutely killer. The sideboard cards against Striker, of course, killer too. Things like Anti-Spell Fragrance and Imperial Order, but like much less likely you're playing ASF in the extra or in the side deck in order to beat a tier 2.5 deck than you are to play D-Barrier to beat the literal best one.
We definitely have to see TENYIs come down for the Sword Soul player here. This is the only way that's, they're going to be able to establish something that contests the resource play of Sky Striker here.
I mean, sort of. You can't even really do anything with TENYIs because if this is your line, the way that you're getting a non-effect monster on your side of the field is by using the effect of a Sword Soul monster, and the token that you summon off of that effect doesn't play nicely with TENYIs because it permits you to do nothing but synchro, and so you can't even go into like some weird TENYI link play that theoretically exists, and I don't think these people are playing in the extra anyway. But yeah, I'm interested to see where we're going with this.
that might have been this might be the turn that, Sky Striker needed to stop in order to keep going. D-Barrier just being basically a turn skip might be the thing that allows Sky Striker to establish their game plan and keep themselves alive throughout the match. Yep, looks
Okay.
like Sword Soul is going to be just ending their turn here, just getting a token for a body.
So this
Um,
is still fine if you're the Sword Soul player. You put 2 monsters on board, which is almost impossible to contest, especially without a Ray in Graveyard through a Blackout. And like there's no way to like go to combat and then main phase and then like get the token using something else unless you have like an afterburner. I guess we could go like Shizuku into Kagari, add the engage, afterburner, add, draw a card. If we really read that that set card is exactly Blackout, or if we even really care. But I guess we'll see. And this is
Going
crested
directly
too,
into the Hayate.
because like we have to go direct here. Oh wow. Whoa, we are eating the token. All right. That's smart. Yep, we can send the Ray, and now the Blackout gets a lot less good. We know there's a long one in hand, so we're a little scared about that. We've got the 3 engraved, so the engage is going to be really good. This is a very killer Blackout if you are Aki. I think if they don't do it here, you can probably safely read that they don't have it. And then it's like an imperm.
Imperm here would definitely be good, stopping the engage, but,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
Oh, man. Well, now you're in a very strange position. If they don't have... Kinda. Oh, no. Do we have Rose in grip? There's no way. Oh, wow.
Yo!
Okay, looks like we are going to be able to contest this board. Unless there's a fucking Veiler in hand. Okay, so Verte Anaconda killer here. If we cut them off the token for the long one, the TENYI stuff is not online. The long one has to sit there like a dumb idiot. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just a question of how much further we want to go, and it looks like not very.
Now it's a question of what are these cards in hand, right? Like how much I mean, you would think that they would be some sort of interaction because the Sky Striker player just decided to end on,
Oh, they've
you
got to be
know,
hand traps,
um,
yeah.
they have to be. But that imperm on that Kagari could have
Ooh,
really
wow.
ooh.
That's huge. That's amazing. If there's another worm in hand, that's like killer. Yeah, you do have to chain here, unfortunately. Popping the imperm.
Right.
A lot of scenarios you want to pop the Verte so you don't like get killed to some stupid shit that cares if you're in attack position, but not here. Oh my god. Ash?
Man.
Oh, that would have been the best Ash in
Oh.
the universe.
Yep.
Well, I think we are at token collector or bust. Actually not necessarily. If Aki can't put up lethal here, which is not ugh. I'm not
It's
super
not
familiar.
certain.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the lines. Oh god. Oh, if that's the ad, yeah, there's lethal. So we oh yeah, okay, I see the line. We go Taya here, banish a card. We add any Sword Soul to hand. We pitch the Sword Soul for long one. We go to 48. We make Baron pop the Verte and Shishao. Unless the Veiler comes down. If the Veiler comes down, we're
Oh.
actually shit out of luck. As expected, there are hand traps.
Right. Yep.
So it's got to
Wow, that
be
was strong.
exactly in hand a card you can pitch for long one. And even then, I think it's not lethal. Yeah, we're just
And it
going
looks
for it.
like it's not. Just going right to the battle phase, getting over the Verte Anaconda,
Okay, so now the Sky Striker
and
player is super favored.
right.
The set card's got to be
Wow.
blackout, but you're blackouting into a board of like fucking DPE.
Well, this is a question here of what do you do with this DPE that comes back now, right? Like, do you just immediately pop the monster, planning for the fact that it's
Oh, you go to
blackout, or do
battle.
you value the damage,
Oh,
or
you
you
go
go
to
to
battle,
battle?
you attack the monster, you make them blackout if they want to blackout. Either way, you're getting both of their cards. They have a long one in hand. They have to draw exactly a worm and a way to out. I am now going to pop the token. Eat my ass. Cyclone, the set card. Oh, okay, we can pop the Cyclone. Okay, well, if these 2 cards in the hand are activatable, we have won the game because we get to Celestial. Oh, but they are not.
They are not.
So it's got to be a hand trap, right?
We saw Ghost Ogre in the first game.
Ghost Ogre
Could be
is
that.
so good against this deck. And just the pass here. Yep. This one's getting wrapped up. We need to find lethal right now, though. And we have not.
We have not.
Any striker would just be crazy. We get to get back engaged. That's the end of the game also. What could they possibly be drawing? I guess like more striker spells. Whatever they're
like a
keeping
Widow
in
Anchor?
hand. I mean, I would even consider normaling like a Veiler and just making like a Link Haribo just to draw some cards. Okay, Moye is really fucking annoying. If we have negation, we should fire it off now. Hey, that's pretty good too.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I imagine if you're the Sword Soul player, you are very frustrated because I think that just cut off basically any chance you have of top decking your way back into this game.
And speaking of
and
top decking your way back into the game, we'll target the. This is definitely dead. Whatever this card is.
Oh, and Ray off the top.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Oh, well, you can't Ray.
Oh, you can.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can.
Oh, yeah, you can just DPE, I guess.
Oh, sure. Oh, come on. You don't need to do this. All right, so we're going to go in for, what, 12 here? Oh, wait, actually, is that not lethal? Wait, what? Why did we not Ray? Did I miss something?
Well, there can be only... Well, DPE's a warrior, right?
Yeah. Oh, my God, he is. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good draw.
Yeah. It's got to be some sort of backer removal plus, something for the long one,
Yeah,
but it's not.
have
Yeah,
one.
that's rough.
I think we can kill here with the anchor or the shark cannon. We could just take like Taya.
Yeah, that would do it. There's really nothing to fear at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Bobby,
Why are we
stop!
doing that?
You asshole. Okay, that's way more than enough. Here's where we get Nibiru. We just like get really greedy and die to Nibiru. It says whatever. Let's just fucking go to combat. If you have like better not risk like your Desires deck boarding into Gamma. Can't activate Shark Cannon? Why not?
Oh, you have a main deck, main monsters.
Oh my God, that's so funny. They would have to commit to the board first.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, now we are in game 3. Wow, I'm really surprised. This has been a really good match.
Yeah, I've always liked this matchup. I think it's super interesting, for the reasons that I've said previously at the start of this match, because just Sky Striker being able to be built so flexibly, and then, having a lot of tools that help you out a very, just a very interesting board, going second with a lot of different things that it could be it, hand traps or the blackout or the monster effects. Just a lot of interesting and unique tools that Sky Striker has at its disposal. And Sword Soul being able to just be very resilient and consistent and out a lot of the cards that could pose problems like Vishuda. So I don't know. I could not, if you threatened me with some sort of firearm, I would not be able to tell you who I thought was going to win this one.
I think that Depp just made the absolutely correct decision. Made the Sky Striker player go first. Be like, listen,
I would agree.
I know that I opened the God Hand game 1, and you still almost played through it. You were like 150-50 off of potentially winning the game. I am not going to let you do that again. So board into all of your terrible hand traps that do mediocre things against a board that I'm not going to have to set up. You do you, I'm going to do me, and I know that my game plan has a much higher ceiling than yours. Area 0 targeting the set card. Let's see if it's Metal Foes Fusion. And the big whiff. Just an enormous whiff.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's killer. That might be the entire set right there.
That might have just sealed it up.
Yeah.
Unless the Sky Striker player kept in there can be only one.
Even then, all it takes is a Vishuda. Lightning Storm. Okay.
Nope.
We've got Adhara. So Teekboo actually does really well against this board after the successful Adhara summon. Wild Sword Soul
A lot of stuff
appears.
we could see.
Ashing that is pretty killer.
Yep,
non-zero
that's pretty strong.
That Wow, that's really frustrating because like they can't even gamma from this position. All right, Monk.
We're
I
gonna
mean,
see a
let's see
battle
a
phase
Sword
here.
Soul. We need a Sword Soul or else this is not going to get anywhere. And the Sky Striker player's got 4 attempts to find a Sky Striker. Oh, shit.
Yeah, this just got very crusty.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Good luck,
Yeah.
everybody. It's 1,000,000% that's the infinite impermanence. I guess we'll see.
If you're the Sky Striker player, you're feeling pretty comfortable right now because you have the Area 0 established, and you can just every turn keep, excavating those 3, hoping to find like a ray. And if you get one right here, then you feel like you're winning the game.
And like this is just one of those scenarios in which like Sky Striker's unique position as a deck that uses very specific cards gives it these like incredible matchups like this one. Like if this set card in the middle column is a blackout, it's terrible. It's like awful here. Ooh, Cosmic is kind of killer against Area 0 though. That's a really good one. Oh, unless you top
Try
Fusion
again.
Destiny, unless you're the fucking greatest player in the universe. Okay, so now if you're Aki, you are living in fear. You've got 1 card in hand. Historically, this deck needs 2 to pop off, though you do have a decent setup in your graveyard already. Your opponent is about to draw 2 cards on their turn. They are clearing your entire field. It was Infip, unsurprising. And simply good luck, I guess I would say.
Yeah. When you get Sword Soul to a position like this, the game is extremely simplified.
There's the storm.
Oh!
There's the storm. Oh, that's a killer storm. D-barrier for
Oh!
Synchro. Actually, it's an ass storm. It's so bad. Oh, God. Even if the card is... I don't even know what it would have to be. I could not tell you. All right, if we can set the card in our hand, we now win the game.
Or if it's a ray.
Yeah, if it's a ray, we also win, obviously. Yep,
Oh,
let's go.
yep.
Let's go, Celestial, the best card in Sky Striker. Oh, who needs Engage? This is 2 Engages. Let's go into combat here. Telegraphs that definitely in the hand are like some hand traps or some floodgates.
Yeah, that's feeling rough.
Oh, man.
My God.
Oh, my God. What do you do? It has to be Lightning Storm plus... I can't even think of what 2 would do it, honestly. There's the Lightning Storm. Well, we found the Lightning Storm. This is so sacky. Oh, my God. Oh, but the pass, we got 1 more turn. 1 more turn.
Aki, more like Saki, baby. Let's go.
Runner Lightning Storms. Aki's over here like, give me the fucking starter, please. Just Anashana, I am begging you. Any monster does it. A fucking effect Veiler does it. Just make Linkaribo. He doesn't have it.
Oh
my
my
God. More shot.
Oh, right. Watch him come back from this.
Come on, Aki. Come on, you can do it. Desires into the play.
What do we got here?
What do we have?
I imagine they top decked the Moye here, and now they're infinitely frustrated.
Oh, they're thinking. They're typing some slurs in chat. Deserved, but you know.
I imagine if it was Desires, they would have just instantly clicked it. But
they're either like throwing their whoa, that's a crazy one. Okay, I mean this I think forces the issue on the DPE, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's see it. Let's see it, Aki. Oh
yeah,
no.
Oh, GG's from Aki.
Oh, wow. What a sick set. I'm shocked. That was so much fun.
That was a good game. Card in hand Long Yuan. Yep.
That is 100%. Oh, it's there's not even a good way to do it. Because you Long Yuan discarding the Vashetta, you get the token, they pop the token, and they're like, sorry, you've now lost the game. Wow, that is misery. For Aki, for Crom, holy hell, what an incredible run. And your 2021 December CSM champion, the final CSM champion for the age of Challonge. I mean, that's got to be something. Wow. That was such a sick best of 3. My God.
Yes, very good. I always like watching that matchup. I think it's always, it's always very 50-50. The decks are very well poised against each other. They all have native outs to the stuff that each other puts up.
Yep.
It could really go either way, and we even saw there were, 3 turns from the Sword Soul player where they just had to top deck something that could have, a Desires at the
Yeah.
end there really could have just put them back into the game even at 100 life points. So. But sometimes the cards fall in a way that doesn't let you get there, and we have our champion being Sky Striker. So,
Wow.
thanks so much for having me on, MBT. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no. I guess I would say thank you for showing up. I really appreciate you jumping on commentary. I didn't have anyone lined up, and then you were just like, "Oh, let's see what happens," you know. Really appreciate it. Big shouts out as well to Rebby for the amount of work she did behind the scenes. To Coder for having to build an infrastructure that would port all the challenge names to a new document because their website is run by rats that we will no longer be in contact with. Thanks also to Luna for doing the same. And to all the players for their continued patience. Next year, and by that I mean this year, we will be running Chalislime monthlies on a slightly different website. We're going to be using MC to do signups, but smash.gg to actually tabulate the rounds. We're in the process of stress testing that software right now, so very excited about it. That CSM, I believe, is going to be the weekend of the 29th, and if you're interested in joining it, you can either get the $5 or above bit on my Patreon for advance and guaranteed entry, or you can hang out on the community tab of the MBT Yu-Gi-Oh channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the Thursday before the tournament. I had a great time here, and I've had a great time this year, even through all the trials and tribulations, just getting to cast Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just always such a treat.